Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining this Bhagavatam discussion today. Before going ahead, I will seek blessings of all the Vaishnavas, present and who are not present. First, we will start with prayers. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswati vyasam tato jayam mudirhaye. Sustrusho shraddadhanasya vasudeva katharuchi syanmat sevaya vipra punyatirtha nishevanat shrunvatam swakatha krishna punya shravana kirtana hridayantasto hiyapatrani vidunoti suhrut satam nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Tada Rajastamo Bhava Kamalobhadayaschayi Chetayetayirana Viddam Stitam Sattve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavat Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Hridaya Grandis Chityante sarva samshaya kshiyante chasya karmani drishtaye vatmanishware. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Today I want to read from verse Canto 1, chapter 2, text 3. So before that, I'll share the screen. Yeah. Yasvanubhavam akila shruti saramekam adhyatmadipam atitirsha tam tamondam samsarinam karunaya purana guhyam tam vyasasunum upayami gurum munina. Yasvanubhavam akila shruti saramekam adhyatmadipam atitirshatam tamondam samsarinam karunaya purana guhyam tam vyasasunum upayami gurum muninam. Synonyms. Yeah, he who svanubhavam, self-assimilated, experienced, akhila, all around, shruti, the Vedas, saram, green, ekam, the only one, adhyatma, transcendental, deepam, torchlight, atitirthatam, desiring to overcome, tamandam, deeply darkened material existence, samsarinam, of the materialistic man, karunaya, out of causeless mercy, aha, said, purana, supplement to the Vedas, guhyam, very confidential, tam, unto him, vyasa, sunam, the son of Vyasadeva, upayami, let me offer my obeisances, guru, the spiritual master, munina, of the great sages. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Let me offer my respectable obeisances unto him, Sukha, The spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of mental existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it by experience. In this prayer, Srila Sutta Goswami practically summarizes the complete introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural supplementary commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The Vedanta Sutras or the Brahma Sutras were compiled by Vyasadeva with a view to presenting just the cream of Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on this cream. Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a thoroughly realized master on the Vedanta Sutra, and consequently, he also personally realized the commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam. And just to show his boundless mercy upon bewildered materialistic men who want to cross completely over nations, he recited for the first time this confidential knowledge. There is no point in arguing that a materialistic man can be happy. No materialistic creature, be he the great Brahma or an insignificant ant, can be happy. Everyone tries to make a permanent plan for happiness, but everyone is baffled by the laws of material nature. Therefore, the materialistic world is called the darkest region of God's creation. Yet, the unhappy materialists can get out of it simply by desiring to get out of it. Unfortunately, they are so foolish that they do not want to escape. Therefore, they are compared to the camel who relishes thorny twigs because he likes the taste of the twigs mixed with blood. He does not realize that it is his own blood and that his tongue is being cut by the thorns. Similarly, to the materialist, his own blood is as sweet as honey, and although he is always harassed by his own material creations, he does not wish to escape. Such materialists are called karmis. Out of hundreds of thousands of karmis, only a few may feel tired of material engagement and desire to get out of the labyrinth. Such intelligent persons are called jnanis. The Vedanta Sutra is directed to such jnanis. But Srila Vyasadeva, being the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, could foresee the misuse of the Vedanta Sutra by unscrupulous men, and therefore he personally supplemented the Vedanta Sutra with the Bhagavata Purana. It is clearly said that this Bhagavatam is the original commentary on the Brahma Sutra. Srila Vyasadeva also instructed the Bhagavatam to his own son, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who was already at the liberated stage of transcendence. Srila Sukadeva realized it personally and then explained it. By the mercy of Srila Sukadeva, Bhagavata Vedanta Sutra, the Bhagavata Vedanta Sutra is available for all those sincere souls who want to get out of material existence. Srimad Bhagavatam is the one unrivaled commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Sripada Shankaracharya intentionally did not touch it because he knew that the natural commentary would be difficult for him to surpass. He wrote his Shankara Bhashya, and his so-called followers deprecated the Bhagavatam as some new presentation. One should not be misled by such propaganda directed against the Bhagavatam by the Mayavada school. From this introductory shloka, the beginning student should know that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the only transcendental literature meant for those who are Paramahamsas and completely freed from the material disease called malaise. The Mayavadis are envious of the personality of Godhead, despite Sripada Shankaracharya's admission that Narayana, the personality of Godhead, is above the material creation. The envious Mayavadis cannot have access to the Bhagavatam, but those who are really anxious to get out of this material existence may take shelter of this Bhagavatam because it is uttered by the liberated Srila Sukadeva Goswami. It is the transcendental torchlight by which one can see perfectly the transcendental absolute truth realized as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. ओमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमामो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna devotees, thank you very much for joining Srimad Bhagavatam discussion today morning. So I wanted to read from this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 3. Here, after the sages of Naimisharanya asked the questions, the six great questions, this is the first time Sutta Goswami is responding. And initially, he's actually remembering his spiritual master from where he heard Srimad Bhagavatam. And he at the same time glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, the subject matter itself. Right? So, we'll read the translation once. Let me offer my respectable obeisances unto him, Shuka, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who out of great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge. After having personally assimilated it by experience. So here, he is first glorifying his spiritual master, which is he is evoking the mercy of spiritual master before speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, and which is etiquette as well as must in terms of learning Srimad Bhagavatam, approaching a guru and glorifying his mercy, which is Sutta Goswami is doing here. The particular word that I want to focus today is Adhyatma Deepam. That is Srimad Bhagavatam as the Adhyatma Deepam, for whom it is for people who are in the, struggling in the Tama Andham, that is deeply darkened material existence, and samsarinam of the materialistic man. So people who are struggling in this deeply dark material existence, who want to get out of them, get out of this material existence, for them, this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is as spoken by Sukadeva Goswami, it becomes the Adhyatma Deepa, which is the torchlight. Prabhupada actually translates this as Adhyatma Deepam. Adhyatma is a transcendental, Deepam as a torchlight, which is the transcendental torchlight. Actually, interestingly, Prabhupada did not mention anything about this torchlight in the translation directly. But in the purport, at the end, he actually touches upon it. So he says, it is the transcendental torchlight by which one can see perfectly the transcendental absolute truth realized as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, so before understanding this torchlight example, I want to speak about a little bit about Srimad Bhagavatam as explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary. He describes, compares Srimad Bhagavatam, studying Srimad Bhagavatam as the churning of the ocean. Like we have the churning pastime in Milk Ocean, right? Churning of the Milk Ocean in the Canto 8. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur compares reading the Srimad Bhagavatam as the churning of the Milk Ocean. Let us briefly understand that. In that he compares Srimad Bhagavatam as the ocean itself, and churning rod as the tool to we approach to read Srimad Bhagavatam or understand Srimad Bhagavatam, and result of the churning, like when the churning past time, so many outcomes came when the churning was happening. So, and similarly, when we read Bhagavatam with these different churning tools, different outcomes will come. And he explains like the churning rod. For example, he gives the churning rods as buddhi is one of the churning rod, and another churning rod he gives us the bhakti. Like buddhi means when we use our intelligence to approach Srimad Bhagavatam or read Srimad Bhagavatam or the churning Srimad Bhagavatam to get the meanings out of the churning Bhagavatam or realization, then our understandings would be limited to just the intellectual understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam, and particularly appreciating the flow of Srimad Bhagavatam, appreciating the language of Srimad Bhagavatam, appreciating the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And this is one level of understanding. Of course, this is required and it's not bad. And another level of tool, the so-called churning rod, he uses is bhakti. When we use that bhakti as a churning rod and churn Srimad Bhagavatam to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, then he says that we get the real meaning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That is, Krishna will be situated or revived in our heart, right? Which is the real outcome of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is, we have to approach Srimad Bhagavatam as the when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to read with the bhakti in our heart. So, when I read this, when I try to understand this metaphor, I got confused, like, because we will get to know that initially you should start with one usually doesn't have bhakti. That is why we read Bhagavatam to develop bhakti. But here it is saying that we actually have to approach Bhagavatam with bhakti, then only we get right, we get Krishna is situated in the heart, or we get the actually the real essence of Bhagavatam. We will be able to understand Bhagavatam and we will be able to remember Krishna through Bhagavatam, right? So, but then it is true, whenever we are growing from very initial stage to the higher stages of understanding, in the beginning, obviously, one will not have so much bhakti. But then when we read Bhagavatam, then we gradually develop bhakti. And then next time when we read Bhagavatam, we approach with a little more bhakti. So it's a kind of a cycle, keeps going, and we'll repeat this cycle again and again, gradually growing through that cycle, our bhakti, right? And eventually we will be able to understand bhakti. We will be able to understand Bhagavatam more and more through this bhakti journey route. And he also compares Srila Bhakti, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura also compares Bhagavatam with the lamp. So now we'll compare with actually the lamp, with the sun, and with us the ripened fruit and Mohini Murti. So we will discuss these four analogies with the emphasis on the lamp, which is today's verse, lamp or the torchlight. Obviously, in olden days, it's actually the lamps that we use traditionally. Nowadays, in modern context, it is a electrical torchlight. So he compares Srimad Bhagavatam as the torchlight, in the sense, or the lamp, in the sense the light, amount of the light coming out of Srimad Bhagavatam is limited, in the sense that we can only see limited amount, right? In the lamp, in a darkness, in a lamp, we cannot see whole lot. Maximum, it can lit up a room, and where we can see what is in the room clearly. May not be sometimes very clearly in the room also, right? And another thing is, we actually have to focus the lamp where we want to see, right? So, so it is the personal endeavor one has to do to move the lamp where we want to actually see, right? It's not by default that by the lamp itself we will be able to see, because the lamp gives a very small limited amount of light. In contrast, if we see the example of the sun, which is actually given in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 43, Srimad Bhagavatam is compared as Arka, as the sun which arisen when Krishna left this planet, right? The sun, when the sun comes, the entire darkness actually dissipates, right? But the thing is, sun comes on its own accord. I cannot control when the sun has to come out, right? Sun has its own natural timings. It comes at that time. And also, when the sun comes, it can only illuminate completely when there are no clouds, right? When there is a clouds, we will not be able to see. And then again, at this time of the night, we will not be able to see the sun and the sunlight. The clouds will block the sunlight, and we cannot control the sunlight clouds also. That when the clouds should go away, when the clouds should not go away. So the example he gave, in this example, what he gives is the mercy or the sunlight comes from the Srimad Bhagavatam or the sun, we really cannot control. It comes out of his own mercy, right? But when it comes, it completely dissipates the darkness, and we can see the things very clearly, right? But until then, until Srimad Bhagavatam reveals on its own, until then, we have to do our personal endeavor. The endeavor of the lighting the lamp and moving the lamp wherever we want to see, right? So that is the personal endeavor we have to see. That means Krishna manifests as a universal mercy in terms of the sun or Srimad Bhagavatam. At the same time, he is giving his mercy through a small lamp. So the same potency is in the lamp also. But we have to do our endeavor to light the lamp and move the lamp, take the lamp towards where we want to take it, and understand the things as they are, the transcendental messages through Bhagavatam, through our endeavor. It's not really endeavor personal side, but it's a small mercy received through disciplic succession. That's how actually he compares the lamp as. The lamp we received from the disciplic succession, and we continue that lamp, or we use that lamp to understand. And eventually, the big mercy in terms of sunlight comes and full darkness will be dissipated, right? So he gives this beautiful comparison. So I was thinking in this in this regard, yes, when we do prayers to the Lord, that we want to distribute so many Bhagavad Gitas or Bhagavatams, particularly for now in book distribution, we have a goal. So, and one way we can see is, okay, we have put the goal, and now it is in the Krishna's court. Krishna has to manifest how these Bhagavatams will be distributed. We have mercy from everyone, all the devotees, and from the Lord itself, that we have a goal, so it will be manifested somehow. That's one way to look at it. So the big mercy comes out, but at the same time, we have to do our small endeavors also. In the sense, in this lamp example, that we can plan different venues, we can tax our brain, right? Our intelligence, how actually to distribute, where to go, whom we were in our mind, whom to distribute, what time, how many hours we want to spend, right? Which locations we want to go. So we do our endeavors from our side, right? So that's how I was relating this example of the lamp and the sun with respect to the distribution. And quickly, actually, I'm almost running out of the time, but I will take a few more minutes with your permission to discuss quickly the other two metaphors that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura uses. Other one is ripened fruit. Ripened fruit is, again, this example is also given in Srimad Bhagavatam 113. It's a very popular verse, or Pebata Bhagavatam Rasmalayam verse, where Bhagavatam is compared to the ripened fruit, and it has to be received through the disciplic succession, and the way to consume it is drinking it, right? And the significance of this verse is Srimad Bhagavatam is actually gives nectar, or the juice, or the essence. When we drink Bhagavatam in a proper way, we actually get happiness, right? So that's what in that example, in the analogy, is trying to explain. And another last metaphor that he gives is the Mohini Murti example, and it's connect back to the original metaphor of churning. He says that when in the churning pastimes, there are so many things come, like Ucheshravada horse, and then Mohini Murti herself comes, and then the Surabhi cows. I think I forgot the name of the cow. Probably it is Surabhi cow, Airavatam. And then the tree, the famous tree. I forgot the name again, the Sanskrit name. So there are so many outcomes come, but at the same time, Vishnu actually tells Devatas that so many things will come, but don't worry about all those things. Don't get distracted. Wait until the end, till the nectar comes. So similarly, here in the analogy of Mohini Murti, the Mohini Murti actually distributes, gives the nectar to the Devatas, and but at the same time, the Mohini Murti keeps the nectar away from the demons. So similarly, Bhagavatam is also like Mohini Murti, in the sense, when we read Bhagavatam, so many outcomes will come, but the ultimate outcome is the bhakti, or the awakening the devotional service to the Lord in our heart, right? Attraction to the Lord, so that we'll be able to remember the Lord all the time. So that is the real outcome. Until then, we should not be able to get bogged down by the other outcomes when we read Srimad Bhagavatam. So he gives examples like when we, some people get really enamored by the Sanskrit itself in the Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam has some exquisite Sanskrit in different meters, different poetic styles. And some people get caught in the cosmology of the Bhagavatam. Some people get caught in the chronology and philosophy also sometimes. There are so many philosophies mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, don't get bogged down by them. And in fact, some people get bogged down and they get stuck. Actually, they won't move forward. For them, it is like Mohini Murti hiding hiding nectar away from the demons, right? So the one has to wait patiently until we get the real nectar from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is the metaphor that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives. So to conclude today's verse, I will read one more time the translation. Let me offer my respectable obeisances unto him, Sukha, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of mental existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge, after having personally assimilated it by experience. So with this, I want to conclude today's discussion. If you have any comments, questions or corrections, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. A wonderful class, Prabhu. I'm glad you started this series so nicely by selecting this verse, offering obeisances to Shukadev Goswami. And you have very beautifully described Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's, the ways of approaching Bhagavatam. That was very illuminating to me. And thank you very much. Very, very wonderful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much for your prayers and blessings. Actually, I took these analogies from one of the Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's classes. So yeah, it's not, I didn't did so much work to actually go to the commentary and all. I just heard his class and I just
that's very, very beautiful, Prabhu. And the idea is to go again and again and until you get the nectar. Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A very inspiring talk, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for sharing the nice analysis. So yeah, I mean what Sandhya Mataji said, I mean we need to keep on going to get the nectar, not enamored by the things that are coming in between, right? So and then I mean when you explained that analogy, first one, I mean the torchlight as well as the sun, right? I mean not the analogy, I mean torchlight as well as the sun. So I mean it was like very, very nice actually. Because I was thinking both are light, so one need to put that effort little bit to see. I mean bit by bit, right? I mean small things, and then suddenly the sun comes. So which is also Srimad Bhagavatam. So I was just thinking how in same Srimad Bhagavatam it is compared both as a torchlight as well as the sun. And that commentary by Vishwanath that is also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, Prabhu?
yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that nice, Prabhu. Thank you so much. And this point, what Prabhupada called out in the purport, I mean, Mayavadis doesn't, I mean, General Shankaracharya did not do, but some of his followers try to
Yeah.
comment this. I mean, I don't know what they talk about because Srimad Bhagavatam is referred in many other literatures, right, as well, right? So we hear that during the Bhadra Purnima classes, the glorifications of Srimad Bhagavatam and the how great it is. But I don't know what they talk about in those
Yeah.
Puranas, but also kind of written by, compiled by Vyasadeva. So,
Yes, Prabhu. I was also not very sure, but I was remembering that the original commentator, Sridhar Swami, right? He is a devotee, but we know that he has some impersonal conclusions in the Srimad Bhagavatam as well. But when our acharyas take Srimad Bhagavatam, they don't focus on them. So in the sense that we don't have to get bogged down by those philosophies, or because Bhagavatam is everything. It contains all the philosophies, right? So, but what we need, we take out from the Bhagavatam. So again, it comes back to this analogy, I think. So
yeah.
I was connecting to it. Yeah.
Nice, bro. That makes me, I mean, remember another point.
Yeah.
Prabhupada, right? Whenever there is a verse is there, he just
Yeah.
focuses on bhakti from the point one. I mean,
Yes.
from the
Yes.
beginning verse itself. He doesn't go anything else. Even
Yes.
Bhagavad Gita, right? He doesn't so much
Yes.
talk about the war and all in the first chapter.
Yes.
There itself he starts. Even
Yeah.
introduction before that. So
Mhm.
thank you, Prabhu. Nice. Yeah, we don't need to focus on other things as long as the thank you so much.
I have one request of Lakshmikant Prabhu.
Yes,
Is
Mataji?
it possible to update the spreadsheet to include the verse number selected by each one of the speakers?
After
So
the
that
speaking, Mataji, or after the speak?
after the speaking is
Okay.
if it is not too difficult for you, Prabhu, that will kind of keep it in.
I was thinking of sending a message in the group, Mataji, to see if each devotee can share at least one day in advance the topic that they are going to speak.
That
It
would
doesn't
be
need to be, that would
uh,
be, I mean, so that at least we
mm,
can share with all the, I mean,
yeah,
devotees, right? So
yeah,
that they will know what is.
yeah.
Yeah, it is
Either
a verse.
way,
Yeah, go ahead.
today is 1, 2, 3, right? Mm.
But
So
you can
yeah, it
repeat
would be a
Mataji
good.
again.
Hare
You can repeat
Krishna.
the same verse again and do
Yeah,
it
you can repeat same verse
much
That
and
is
better
share
job.
also
whatever you think.
that
Yeah.
is also
I'm sure
there,
you will.
but
Oh, is
that's
that?
also there. You are right. But still, still to keep our to
So is that the
our.
reason you are asking, Mataji? Update the verse number?
That's also one reason. But no problem if somebody speaks the same words.
Yeah, we don't need to.
No,
Yeah, it can be
yeah,
same verse and
everybody will
repeat
have
it.
their own approach.
Yeah. Because
I would
last
like
year,
to have it.
during similar time, I think Gopal Hari
Uh,
Prabhu, Arudha Mataji, everybody spoke about first 2-3 verses in the Bhagavatam.
okay.
Yeah. Right. So,
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Haridwani Prabhu unmuted, I think.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vrindavana. It was a great beginning, as Sandhya Mataji said, for the whole series of Bhagavatam. The main point that I liked was how you presented the Moini Murti's pastime and how you correlated with kind of the blocks that we get. I myself am also I've also experienced that, like, sometimes you don't understand certain parts of Bhagavatam and then we get stuck where we just want to understand everything and move on. Sometimes it's not, and not sometimes, many times it's not possible. And I think you also said in the beginning where Krishna reveals himself through Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam, it's like everything is revealed by the mercy of Bhagavatam. So kind of when we appreciate that fact and try to take shelter of Bhagavatam and move on to the next step, sometimes um, it so happens that a point that was kind of explained in certain chapter, when we are reading some other discussion, then it kind of, oh, so this is what that devotee meant. So thank you so much for emphasizing that point. It's kind of very relief giving and strength giving also. And once again, thank you for beginning this whole series of discussions. And thank you to Lakshmikant Prabhu also for the idea of this quite an amazing way to focus during the whole this month of Janmashtami, Radhashtami, and all of it. Thank you to you both.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much. I just was correlating when you were talking about the blogs. So initially, when I was talking, I told Srimad Bhagavatam as the ocean, and we can use different churning rods to get different outcomes.
Correct.
Right? So probably these are different churning rods, like one may be enamored by the Sanskrit, right? So when you use that as a churning rod and try to get Srimad Bhagavatam, he will go only so far, right? So the outcome is probably intellectual satisfaction or things like
Right,
that.
right.
So, or cosmology and things like that. Different churning rods when you use. So, but yeah, he says that one has to use bhakti as the churning rod. So when we use that as a churning rod, we get the ultimate outcome from the Bhagavatam. So I was again remembering this topic. Thank you for bringing it up.
You so wonderfully established the whole foundation for the next 1 month of speakers.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that the reason you selected this verse, Prabhu? Very nice verse.
I don't know, Prabhu. You guys are actually bringing more meaning to it. I just randomly selected it.
It's very nicely fitting. Okay.
So we will call it a day. Thank you very much, devotees. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.